Is it possible to stop a gaslighter? Is it possible to stop somebody from being a pathological liar? Well, according to psychology, they believe they have some answers here. I found an article in Psychology Today that says this: 4 gaslighting phrases that can break you and how to stop them cold. Now, anytime I see an article like this, I have some concerns. Let's read this article together to see what the article gets right, if anything, and what it gets wrong. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, before we dive into this article on how to stop a gaslighter according to psychology, let me remind you that I'm here to support you. Down in the description box right below this video, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments with me. I take telephone calls and video calls through Zoom, FaceTime, and WhatsApp. Also, The Royal We does have a private membership available for you where you can get daily live support from me with a growing community of people from all over the world. We have a fellowship program once a week where we explore what the Bible has to say about abuse. There's a workout program for you and so much more, all in the privacy of a members-only app. You can download the Royal We membership app down below in the description box. Now, the Royal We does have merchandise available. We have t-shirts, hats, mugs, and sweatshirts. You can show your support for the Royal We by purchasing an item and then post it on Instagram and tag me at Join the Royal We to get a free 1-hour appointment. Now, let's dive into this article together. As I said before, anytime I see an article on how to stop gaslighting, it raises some concerns. And the reason it raises some concerns within me is because if somebody is gaslighting you, if they are lying to you with the intention of causing you to question your own reality, question your own memory, essentially scrambling your brain on purpose with intention, well, it's obvious that person doesn't love you. They don't care about you. You are expendable to them. If you're in a relationship with somebody who does not love you or care enough about you to be honest, to be forthright, and to want you to be the best version of yourself, well, there's really nothing you could do except leave the relationship. You have to get out of the gaslighting. You have to get out of that experience. That's the only way to stop it cold. But according to psychology, they believe that there are some phrases that you can say to a gaslighter that's going to get them to stop. Let's see if they get it right. Beginning with number 1. The gaslighting phrase that's all too common that a narcissistic person will tell you is, "You're too sensitive." Yes, absolutely. I have heard this. And by the way, the "you're too sensitive" bit can come in many different forms. Now, typically, you're going to hear "you're too sensitive" anytime you stand up for yourself in a toxic relationship. So if you have a narcissistic family member or husband or a wife who's criticizing you, ridiculing you, cussing you out, calling you names, I've experienced all this too. Acting tough, acting mean, raging, thrashing about, acting like big babies, because that's what narcissists are. The moment you stand up for yourself saying, "I don't like that, I don't want you calling me names," that's what you're going to be met with. "Oh, you're too sensitive. You're so sensitive." Or you might hear something like, "Oh, you're ridiculous. Oh, you're taking things too seriously. Oh, give me a break. Oh, you're just being petty." And you're standing back saying, "Wait a minute, I'm what? I'm being petty? Because I'm standing up to you, you're cussing me out, calling me names, and I'm saying stop, and that makes me petty?" So you can see what gaslighting is. It's not just pathological lying. It's lying with the intent of bringing the focus off of them and back onto you. This is what narcissistic people need to do. We're not going to look at me. It's not about my rage. It's not about my anger. We're going to look at you. There's something wrong with you. This is okay. My rage, my anger, my name calling, it's fine. You're just too sensitive. Let's focus on that. This is what gaslighting is, and this is why it will drive you insane. So yes, "you're too sensitive," according to this article, is absolutely a gaslighting phrase. Again, it could be "you're too sensitive," "you're ridiculous," "you're petty," "you're causing problems," "you can't take a joke," anything of that sort. According to this psychology article, it says the gaslighter wants to downplay their hurtful behavior and make you feel like your emotions are the problem. Absolutely, that's true. So let's get to the response here and see what the response, according to psychology, should be. The response is, if they say, "You're being too sensitive," you can say, "I have a right to my feelings. Just because it wasn't hurtful to you doesn't mean it wasn't hurtful to me." Wow. How many of you think that would work in the context of a raging, narcissistic person who is gaslighting you and lying to you, would it work to simply say, hey, just because it doesn't hurt your feelings doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt mine. My feelings matter too. Listen, the reality is no, it's not going to work. As a matter of fact, that's going to play right into what a narcissistic person wants. This is exactly what a gaslighter would want you to say. You have to remember, if you're dealing with a narcissistic person who's attempting to gaslight you, they already don't love you. They don't care about you. That's why they're gaslighting you. And if they're able to go forward with these lies, they've already anticipated your possible answers. As a matter of fact, they're leading you towards an answer that they want to hear. And this is probably it. The response of, I have a right to my feelings. All it does is justify what they're saying. If a narcissistic person who's gaslighting you is saying you're too sensitive and your response is, I have a right to my feelings, you're justifying them. All they're going to do is roll their eyes and say, of course, yeah, of course you have a right to your feelings. Everybody has a right to your feelings. I'm just saying your feelings are a problem. You always have feelings about this and you always have feelings about that. And there's always a problem here and there's always something there and you're always upset. Do you see what just took place there? By going along with what psychology is telling you to do, which is to say, hey, I have feelings and you're hurting my feelings, it's actually playing right into the narcissist's hands. This is the problem that we see with modern psychology a lot, counselors and therapists, even in church, who want to tell you, hey, no, go ahead and let them know they're hurting you. No. That's exactly what a narcissistic person wants to know. One of the things I've discovered is that dealing with narcissists and gaslighters, they want to know that they're bothering you, that they're hurting you. It empowers them. That's what makes them feel like they matter. You going to them saying, hey, I have a right to my feelings, just because it doesn't hurt you doesn't mean it doesn't hurt me. A narcissistic person, a gaslighter, is going to be like, yes, that's right. Who's the boss? Who's your daddy? Right? So if anything, I would say you don't want to do that. You don't want to go to a gaslighter or narcissistic person and say, hey, just because it doesn't hurt you doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt me. That's going to be bolstering their ego. They're going to feel good. They're going to feel like the winner, the champion, like they really got you. And they're going to be able to roll their eyes and further make it seem like, once again, your feelings are the problem. So they'll agree with you. And they'll say, yeah, your feelings matter, but your feelings are always a problem. There's always something that I didn't say right. There's always something that's wrong with my behavior. And they're going to make you feel guilty based on your response. So I'm going to go ahead and disagree with this psychology article. Again, as far as I'm concerned, the only way to deal with a gaslighter is to get out of the relationship, right? Anything you say to a narcissistic person or a gaslighter, you have to assume that they've already thought about that possibility and they're looking forward to your response, okay? Moving on to number 2. That never happened. If a narcissistic gaslighter says that never happened, this might come up again in different forms, in different ways. They might say something to the extent of, I don't remember behaving that way towards you. They might say something like, I don't remember ever saying that. They might say something to the extent of, are you sure? I don't recall that. Right? Here's what it says. What it means is that the gaslighter or the narcissistic person is attempting to rewrite history and make you doubt your memory. Absolutely. This is exactly what they are doing. I never heard, when I was dealing with the narcissistic in-laws, I never heard exactly that never happened. But what I did get a lot of when I tried to question them on their behavior was, oh, I did that? I said that? Oh, and then they would try to laugh it off. I don't remember. I don't remember ever saying that. Or they would twist it into, oh, I would never do something like that. And I'm left there thinking to myself, but you did it. So why would you say you would never do something like that when you absolutely did it? You absolutely said that, right? So this is important to understand. Again, it's a form of gaslighting. It's a form of their denial. They know darn well what they did. They know what they said. But of course, when you're dealing with the narcissistic person who does not love you, they cannot take accountability. And I feel like we have to talk about this real quick. Why don't narcissists want to take accountability? Anybody want to take a guess? It's because narcissistic people operate in this world off of winners and losers. It's a constant competition, even in relationships. Now, most of us, myself included, have been athletic in life, right? I played football in high school. I played baseball in high school. So I know about competition. I know about competitiveness. I also know that competitiveness works best when it is organized competition, even fighting, boxing, organized competition, where two teams or two people come together having practiced and are ready for combat, ready for the sport, ready for the game, with the knowledge and understanding that there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. And it's okay because it's agreed upon. It's almost as if narcissistic people never had the opportunity to play sports. It's like their childhood was robbed of organized sports, so they never learned how to go onto a field in a true competitive way with people who are prepared for competition and then leave it on the field. Because that's what most of us do. We leave it on the field. Instead, what narcissistic people do is they've made life their competition. Every relationship is their competition. And some of you might be saying, well, Kevin, there's nothing wrong with a little healthy competition, even in relationships. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Your intimate relationships and your family should not be about competition. It should be about encouragement so that you can go out into the world and compete. Your husband, your wife should not be competing with you. That's your team. But what we see with narcissistic people is they absolutely go into relationships with the mindset of it's competition. And if a relationship is competition, well, then there's a winner and there's a loser at all times. And a narcissistic person is the biggest crybaby and cannot be a loser. This is why they would rather tear down their own wife, their own husband, their own family member, their own child, their own parent. They would rather tear them down than to face loss, being a loser. All right. And so this is why they can't be accountable, because accountability in the moment of being accountable. Yes, I said something wrong. I'm sorry. Let me make up for that. I didn't mean it. In that moment, there's a loss. You're accepting defeat. You're accepting that you did something wrong. Now, a healthy person like you or me has no problem with that. I have no problem admitting when I messed up. Even if it makes me look like a loser in that moment, I'm okay with that. Because the relationship means more, okay? With a narcissistic person, no, they're not going to take that loss. So they would rather lie, twist, put it back on you, gaslight you, so that they remain the winner and you are always the loser. This is why narcissists can't stay in relationships. Everybody's going to leave them because everybody is going to realize in a relationship with them that they're always the loser. They're never on the same team. All right, so let's get back to this right here. That never happened is what a narcissistic person is going to tell you. It never happened. I don't remember it. Again, they don't want to accept accountability. They're attempting to rewrite history. Very important to understand here. Here's, according to psychology, how you should respond. Ready? I clearly remember what was said. If there's a misunderstanding, let's discuss it, but I know what I heard. Okay, so this response to that never happened or I don't remember, it's actually not bad. This is not something that's indicating that you're hurt. This is not something that's indicating that you're upset. This is just stating a fact. If a narcissistic gaslighter, whether it's your family, a husband, a wife, whomever, is trying to tell you that, well, I don't remember ever doing that or saying that, and you have evidence or you specifically remember, there's nothing wrong with clearly stating, listen, I remember exactly what was said. As a matter of fact, it's still on my Facebook. It's still in my DMs. You want me to get it out and show it to you? This is an awesome way, actually, to be able to stop that cold. But at the same time, it's not really going to stop anything cold. All that's going to happen, best case scenario, is you're going to turn that narcissistic gaslighter away from you. They're probably going to say something extent of, whatever, I'm done with you. I don't want to talk anymore. Right? You're angry. They're going to say something ridiculous. Oh, it's obvious you want to cause problems, and they'll walk away. So again, it's not going to stop the gaslighter cold in terms of changing them, But what it does do is it teaches you your ability to stand up in the face of a narcissistic person, whether it's a family member, husband, or wife, and say, absolutely, I remember what was said. I don't care if you forgot about it or not. I didn't forget, and I won't forget. Now, this is not going to provide any safety for you in the relationship. As a matter of fact, it's going to put the narcissistic person more on edge with you, which is going to make them more angry and even more of a liar and more gaslighting. Why? Because now they know that you know. This is when we talk about the mask slipping. In a relationship with a narcissistic person, there's a point in time where their mask slips, where they know that you know that they are a liar, a manipulator, and they're using you. Once they know that, oh, all hell breaks loose. The relationship is downhill from there, right? They're going to punish you and destroy you for figuring them out, okay? So this is kind of like one of those situations. If you're able to say, I clearly remember what was said, you're basically calling them out. You're telling them right then and there that they can't lie to you, that you will remember the bad things that they do. You will remember, you won't forget, you're never going to forget. And so it's not going to help the relationship, and it's not going to stop them from gaslighting. However, it might get them to leave you alone. Otherwise, it might make them amp up their abuse. Again, either way, the best response to gaslighting is to get out of the relationship. That's the only way to get out of gaslighting, right? Let's go on to number 3. Number 3 is everyone agrees with me. A gaslighter can, in fact, bring this up. Everybody agrees with me. I'm going to read what it says here in Psychology Today. It says the gaslighter wants to isolate you by making you feel like no one is on your side. Yes, there's absolutely truth to this. Although I've never heard a gaslighter or a narcissistic in-law or person say everybody agrees with me. But what I did experience at one point was a person who was yelling and screaming at me about something they didn't like about me, and then they attempted to want to go and get somebody else. Right? So, well, let's go ask this person, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa. I remember I did stop it right then and there. I said, no, well, you don't need to get anybody else. What are you doing? Trying to triangulate me? I think that's the exact words I use. I don't need your triangulation. I don't need you to try to create sides. I'm not, right? The person got huffy and puffy and just stormed off. So you might experience that with a gaslighter. They might say to you, well, let's go talk to this person. Let's go get that person. And of course, it's going to be somebody that they've talked to, because narcissistic people, gaslighters, are really good at talking about you behind your back. They've already done and gone to the whole community, the whole church, your whole family, all the other siblings, even your friends. They've already gone around and they've brought you up in not so good ways, right? They've talked about you in concerning ways, let's just say, bringing up questions about you. And so they've already worked behind the scenes to kind of isolate you. And so they're prepared for that. They're prepared to go and grab one of these people who you might think loves you, by the way. You might think they're on your side, but you might discover that they're really not. They're easily swayed by a narcissistic person and their gossip. So everyone agrees with me. Yes, absolutely, a gaslighter is going to do this in some way, shape, or form. Through their gossip, through their smear campaign, through their slander of you, they're going to try to make sure that everybody agrees with them. How do you respond according to psychology? How can you respond to this? Here's what it says. Your response can be, hey, unless they've said that directly to me, I won't assume what others think. I'm telling you how I feel, and that's all that matters. So basically the response is, listen, I'm not interested in what other people think. I don't care. I'm dealing with you. This is a conversation between you and me and you, however you want to say it. This is a and B conversation. I'm not trying to bring in C, D, E, F, G, the rest of the alphabet. This is just A and B. And we're going to settle this right now. Can that work with a narcissistic person? Possibly. At the very least, it might stop them from going and dragging people into their argument and their debate with you and their fight. It can save you and it can spare you from that. And it's also a way of shutting it down right then and there. You're basically saying, no, you're not going to go and get other people. And no, I'm not going to listen to you say that everybody agrees with you. In a way, if you really want to know what's going to work, you can tell a narcissistic person, I don't care who believes you. I don't care who sides with you. I don't care if you got the whole neighborhood. I don't care. You are going to respect me and you're going to treat me appropriately right here, right now, as we're talking about this, or you're going to get the hell on. You're going to get out of here. Not dealing with this, right? So that could work. Again, it's not going to save the relationship. This is the issue I have with this whole article. None of these are going to help your relationship. None of them are going to make it better. All of these things we're talking about are with the understanding that the relationship's over because you're dealing with somebody who doesn't love you anyways. All right? Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is you're overthinking this. You're overthinking this. What does that mean exactly? It says this: the gaslighter, the narcissist, is trying to dismiss your concerns instead of addressing them. So I guess, in other words, they're saying you're overthinking this, or you're making a big deal out of this and you don't need to. You're creating a problem out of this where there isn't a problem. And yes, narcissistic people can absolutely go that route with you. They do like to laugh off everything as just being a joke. I do specifically recall that. A lot of that when I dealt with the narcissistic in-laws, they were full of that stuff. Anytime I would bring to their attention, hey, you're saying this stuff, you're acting this way, it's just a joke. You're totally blowing it out of proportion. This is how we are. This is how we are with everybody. Really? You walk around cussing people out, throwing things at people, acting like little doofuses, like giant babies. This is how you act to everybody? It's like, that's disgusting. And I don't believe you. And you shouldn't, because it's not true. They don't act like that to everybody. They act like this to people who they target for whatever reason. I was the target because I was the independent one. I didn't want to join their little family hierarchy, and I don't sit there and bow down to anybody, especially jerk-offs like that, right? So when I would approach them and say, hey, you need to not talk to me like that, this was one of their go-to things, was you're just overthinking it. But typically they would say it in a way of, look, we're just joking. This is how we joke. This is how we've always been. So again, they are in fact trying to say, they're trying to dismiss my concerns, right? They're trying to say that we're not going to address your concerns. We're going to dismiss them. This is who we are. Deal with it. Let's see the response according to psychology. The response you could have is, I'm bringing this up because it's important to me. Dismissing it doesn't make it go away. Now, this is something that perhaps it could work. I'm bringing this up because it's important to me. Dismissing it doesn't make it go away. That's a fact. There's a lot of facts in that. Dismissing it doesn't make it go away. But again, when you're dealing with a narcissistic gaslighter, are they going to care? No. They're once again going to roll their eyes. They're going to say, okay, whatever. You're still making a big deal out of this, of course, like you always do. They're going to constantly avoid that big L. They're not going to be a loser. They're going to put that loser on you, and they'll do it publicly. They will try to shame you for trying to make a big deal out of it, and they'll let it be known. Oh, so-and-so's making a big deal out of this. Such a big deal. So I called them names. So I erupted in violence and threw something at them. So I keyed the car. So what? They're making a big freaking deal out of it. Hey, everybody, they're making a big deal. That's what narcissistic people are going to do, right? Now, according to psychology, it says that this response focuses on your concern and sets boundaries against being invalidated. When you're dealing with a narcissistic person, it's not going to matter. They will invalidate you anyways. All right. This is an interesting article. Like I said, if you're dealing with a gaslighter, the true and only response that will ever work is to get away from them. That's all that's going to get you away from gaslighting. If you're dealing with a gaslighter or narcissistic person, there's no response that's going to stop them cold, as in make them treat you better. This is why we have to be careful with articles from psychology or taking advice from counselors or therapists or church, because they're going to try to work with you to see if you can have phrases in your arsenal of defenses to work with narcissists or to work with gaslighters. But the reality is if they're doing that, they don't care about you, which means none of your responses are going to matter. You're going to waste your time. You're going to throw your pearls to the swine. and they're going to trample it under their feet. They're going to turn and tear you to pieces. Everything you say is like throwing it into an empty void, a black hole of nothingness. I've been there with the toxic in-laws. They're an empty group of people. They are a black hole. The in-laws of the mother of my kids are a black hole. Anything I would try to stand up for, anything I would try to say just goes into the black hole, and it doesn't matter. The only way I've discovered to get away from the gaslighting, away from the lies, away from the drama, away from the abusive nature is to get away, is to move away, was to take my family, my kids, and to get the hell out of there. It's the only thing that worked. I am here to support you. Down in the description box, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments with me. Telephone calls and video calls are available. If you're brand new to the Royal We, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss any future Royal We content. And I'll be back with more videos for you right here on the Royal We. Check out all the resources down in the description box. Purchase some Royal We merchandise to support this channel and watch one of these videos recommended by the algorithm.